From just outside the perimeter of Atlanta, Georgia, where our sob story turned into a bit of a Rob story.
I knew where you were going immediately.
Little love for Rob Valentino there. It is the Five Takes podcast. And we're
back.
Back like red and blue at 1 and 2. If you'll have a look at your neighborhood-friendly Premier League table, I don't like the way Flop Mob is organizing it, structuring it right now, because we are level with Arsenal, we being Chelsea. Yeah. And goal differential, everything. So
everything.
But they're currently listed above us. It must be some yellow card thing that has them above us or something like that. But whatever.
The only other thing I can think of was that they were already there, and you'd have to literally like overtake them just to like resituate it. But no, as far as I'm concerned, it's completely level term. So I like that.
We're at second. That. I'm gonna take it, and Liverpool seemingly running away with it now. 11 points clear.
Yeah, 11 points clear of City, but only 9 points clear from the top of the table, which is kind of interesting. I liked it a lot more when it was 11 points clear of the second place team. So to have you and Arsenal win this weekend, of course, made it that it was only 9 points clear from the top.
We're not exactly nipping at your heels.
No, but I was going to say, that's not, we have to absolutely collapse. And we don't have to win out. You had four losses for us to lose the league. Four losses to four gains by you or Arsenal.
The brand and style of football that you're playing right now, this Klopp ball, but more structured, more organized, more complete, especially on the defensive side of things, it's gone about as well as it could for you. I mean, typically when you're transitioning out a massive figure at a club like yours,
you have 4 or 5 years.
You have a bit of a Sir Alex complex.
Yeah, you have like 3 years of rebuilding.
At least that, or you never get back, like United has not. Right. Not really. I mean, I realize they won an FA Cup last year, but
I do think that their recent, gain of Ruben Amorim is probably the best move that they've made in 4 or 5 seasons. And I mean in players as well, but players like Casemiro and Ronaldo's second stint and all of the different things that they've made.
Yeah,
I think having Amorim come in as their best signing.
It's going to take a few transfer windows, but maybe they're getting right now. But all is good for you, which is really impressive. Like I said, when a figure like Klopp leaves and you just hit the ground seemingly better. Incredible what's going on, and I wouldn't worry about us challenging. I'm content. I'm great. I'm good, baby. This is wonderful.
You should be very happy. No, I get it.
I don't think Arsenal's going to, and City
are in the worst slide in 20 years.
Pep has never.
This is the worst. This is the worst losing streak of Pep Guardiola's career, his entire career. This is his longest losing streak.
We have reached the point where Pep is clawing at his face, literally, with his nails.
Yes. But for me, it's beginning to look a slot like Christmas.
Yeah. Hey, we said this from the jump.
Everywhere you go.
Everybody knows that when you rock up to festive fixtures, you need a double-digit lead on City, at least. Because they're probably, and could still do their post-Christmas run where they just don't lose.
Well, and it's interesting too, because they're like, City has injuries, and we're like, well, hey, and Liverpool, Liverpool's going, excuse me, we have some injuries too. And here's the thing, being a champion, and we can very much, Atlanta United can very much attest to this. Being a champion means absolutely doing the best you can with what you have. It means beating the best, obviously, but it means being the best with what you
and your manager getting the most out of what he's got.
So if Rodrigo being, or Rodri, being injured, and him, the most recent Ballon d'Or winner being injured is the sole reason why City is having a slide. That says a lot. That says a lot about what Man City is as a team. I also, I think that De Bruyne is done at City. Yes. The fact that he's become a 70 minute sub at best. He wasn't even subbed in today until 77 or so minutes.
Yeah.
It's a pity. he is just not. He doesn't have the pace that he used to.
He's going to go to San Diego.
Still one of my favorite midfielders of all time. His
KDB
talent is
up there.
Unbelievable.
He's still good too, and when he goes to San Diego, he will do
incredible things.
He will do incredible things in MLS. He will,
and he could have a 5-year career here. He's still young, and I mean,
could. I don't think San Diego. We don't do those kind of deals, Chelsea-sized deals here.
No,
but if we want to compare and contrast things about a manager getting more out of what he's got, Enzo Maresca is doing that for us, finally. We haven't had a tremendous amount of turnover at Chelsea from last year. Mm-hmm. We're always overspend and get new players in. But a lot of our guys are still here, and they're just playing better. Similar to what Rob has done or did with this club this season. Yeah. And finally getting more out of the players than Pineda was able to.
Right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. As we all know by now, the club did not decide to give him the job or extend contract or anything like that.
That was never going to happen.
When that news,
it was not.
He needed to at least get to MLS Cup for that to really have happened, and then probably
right. Well, but see, that's kind of what I was going to say, is that I think that it was the last reality. 6 games of the season was very much a Cinderella story.
Yep.
We were on a tear. We were going on a run, and that was great. If it had happened earlier in the season, we wouldn't be saying give Rob the job. We'd be saying, hey, we're on a nice little run here. It just happened to be that we had it during the playoffs. I don't think that we would be. Maybe the conversation would have been longer because it would have been during the season. But that's all this was. It was fantastic. And don't get me wrong, from somebody who was so morose for the last 4 months of the season.
You were.
I loved it. It gave me such a renewed faith in the team that we could come together and do something. Yeah. It was really good for the city. It was really good for the fans. For me personally, it was a lot of fun because every game was a gift after that, and I don't even care about beating Orlando that, on decision day, and then beating, Montreal and then losing to Orlando. My favorite thing was the 3-game series against Miami, and it was fucking fantastic.
Quick shout out to Orlando. Congratulations on getting to play 90 more minutes of football. Well done.
Yeah. Good job, guys.
Like I said in the takes last week in number 3, that Orlando was going to be in trouble because they cannot defend in transition. And this is all New York Red Bull does. And lo and behold, they lost. And now we've got Red Bull and LA Galaxy in a final.
Yeah, what a weird. I think I'm going to root for LA.
I am. It'd be good. They just got some devastating news today. Ricky Puig is out. ACL.
Oh, no.
Tore his ACL, played the last 30 minutes with a torn ACL, and got the assist with a torn ACL.
Oh, man. But he's done.
He's done.
Wow. So they really got to pull a rabbit out of a hat as far as figuring a way to score goals. That's tough. They can do it. They've been doing it all season.
Yes, they can, and I think they are. Obviously, and should still be favored to win, even with that. But that is a big loss, and that's
it is
kind of heartbreaking because they were, for my money, best in the league this year. And when's the last time we've said that about LA Galaxy?
Well, that's what I'm saying is that I'm really happy to have the other team from LA be the one that we're talking about. So if that has to be the case, then I'm happy with that. I would rather it be, and I'd rather it be that anything. I'd rather be anybody from the West Coast than Red Bulls. So it's kind of fine. Yeah. Or, from the other division rather.
Yeah, we'll be able to watch it and have someone to sincerely root for.
Yeah.
But you're right about our games. It was nice to watch.
It was a Cinderella story and it was fun.
But it was nice to watch and know that whatever we got was gravy. I didn't watch with tension, with trepidation, with I wasn't nervous. I was just happy
it wasn't
to
anxiety.
be there. I was happy to be on an 8-hour bus ride to Orlando and lose. It was okay. I was okay with it. This is what we had been saying the whole year, that lose well. Just play for the badge, play some decent football, and we'll take the result from there.
And I think that
we finally got it, and it was really nice. It doesn't paper over anything. There's going to be a lot of change coming, a lot, and we're going to talk about that. With the year-end roster moves,
you take those 6 games.
It was nice to end with something really, really positive.
You take those 6 games, you take that run that we went on, you take those and you put them in a nice little box and you put it aside because it was its own thing.
Yeah.
You cannot look at the last 6 games and then not look at the rest of the season. They are 2 entirely separate entities and should be treated as such.
I agree.
You need to gauge everything, including roster moves, which is huge. That's a huge subject tonight for us. And we are going to talk about that because it's a big part of what is happening now. And it's been a big part of what is going to happen and carry this team forward since June.
Yeah.
So now it's happening.
I don't think this little magic run is actually going to change anything about like Garth's thinking in the plan or anything.
Shouldn't change.
It was just nice to end on it.
Which is why it shouldn't change anything about how we move forward with the coach.
And I don't think it will.
So thank you, Rob, for giving us something to believe in for the last, 6 weeks. That was really fantastic. I will never, and for the last 7 years. Every bit of time that every bit of time. Yes, you're right. It's like 9 years now. Every bit of involvement. Yeah, every bit of involvement that he has had with this team, I feel like has been positive. So that's not something we can ever, No,
we'll never forget it. I was more emotional than I thought I would be when it got announced because all this flood of memories just came back. Everything that this man has been through.
Yeah.
He had an interim stint before, losing key players, Joseph ACL. Like, oh my gosh, there's just so much that he's seen.
It was a lot
with this club, and he's just been steady. He's been there. He's answered the call when necessary, when he's had to. He has just been a club man through and through. I'm glad that he got the end that he did because if I was not a top team in MLS or even in USL, maybe a top team in USL or a lower team in MLS, I would be looking at Rob. I think he's got great potential in head coach capacity. I think he's going to have a great career somewhere. And I've got him bookmarked. I'm going to follow the man. And because I want nothing but the best for him. And I think he's going to have a pretty stellar career. I really do.
And I think that, and it may, I'm sure that they parted all on good terms, or at least I hope they did, personally up there. But I do think that if we had simply renewed his contract as an assistant coach, it almost would have been doing him wrong because he really does. And I hate to use this metaphor because it sounds so cheesy, but he really kind of needs to spread his wings and fly and go somewhere where he can be that head coach because it's what he deserves. And he's at that point in his career. I think he's like exactly the same age as me. And I would want that too. Yeah. I'm at a point in my life where I'm kind of starting over in a career. And I just kind of know that how scary and daunting it has been for me. But at the same time, I know that it kind of, and I know that it kind of has to happen now. Right. I feel like it's a turning point.
Now or
so
never.
I don't even want to say it's now or never. I'm just saying it's the right time.
Okay.
So
I agree.
For Rob, I think that's what it is.
Him and the club. Like we're in a big transition moment here. We got rid of our technical director. We still have a relatively new president, and we're going to have a new coach come in. And if it's the caliber that Garth is talking about, like proven winner, you can put your Jim Curtin fears aside because proven winner.
Right.
Sorry, Jimbo.
Jennifer scared the hell out of me earlier in the week. Jennifer is just the way she worded the message. Yes, shout out to Jennifer.
She's not here with us tonight. If you are not watching this and just listening to the audio version, it's just myself, Glenn, and Kat here with you.
Yeah,
tonight. Jennifer's busy in Costa Rica.
Lost in a jungle right now. Yeah. She is literally lost in the jungle at the base of a volcano, and we forgive her for it.
Yep.
We will send out a search party should she need it.
I'm sure she echoes everything that we've been talking about because we text in our thread, and we all kind of are on the same page with Rob. I bet Rob's on this page as well.
I do.
There's no way he's surprised by this, and I think you're right. Right time. Right move for him.
And I think we'll probably hear. I think we'll hear about it probably sooner rather than later too. I don't think that he goes unemployed for a long time.
No, this man.
As soon as they find the right opening, I mean, I'm sure he's got his agents and different feelers out there already. You know, because he probably had an inkling. I wonder if this conversation had taken place earlier when Pineda left. They're like, "Hey, we need you again. Can't say we're going to give you the big job, but." You know, so it wouldn't surprise me.
He's not an idiot.
Conversations have already been had. You know,
it was always a long shot for him. But you're right.
Yeah,
he's not
and I'm sorry,
stay.
But all the people who were like, sign the contract, I'm like, guys, it was never going to happen.
But it's all good. It's just feelings. But Rob, if you're listening to this, bud, I wouldn't file that unemployment claim. It seems a bit unnecessary. I think you're going to be employed pretty soon.
Just give
Don't
it a
know
couple
where,
of weeks.
But I love the man. I'm going to miss the man. And the players are going to miss him. And we just got to make sure now that we got to replicate that feeling as much as we can with the next coach that comes in, because it does matter. Tactics matter, and your style and your philosophy all matters.
And you won't have Rob to kind of help make that transition, you know, to kind of help.
It's going to be
meld,
brand new.
You know, like with Slot, with Slot coming in, you know, in Liverpool, he brought in most of his staff as well. You know, they kept a couple people, but I mean, when Klopp left, I think about 6 other of his staff left as well. Yeah. So you kind of have to garner your own relationship, and you got to earn that locker room. There won't be a Rob Valentino this time to help smooth over that transition. No, it's going to be a clean
slate. We're going to have a new TD or general manager, however you want to coin it. I think Garth is going with general manager. Latest rumor, and the strongest one for the past couple months, has been Chris Henderson from Inter Miami. Makes a lot of sense. He was at
Seattle
when Garth was there. Nothing official has been said. Chris posted something on Instagram like a week and a half ago saying, you know, just this nostalgic thing, a little shot outside of them of the training compound that they have down in Fort Lauderdale with him and the players, just talking about all the good memories they've had from day one. It's not a goodbye, but it's kind of got that goodbye tone to it.
It has a little Omen-esque feeling to it.
Maybe the writing is on the wall there. I'm sure by the time you're listening to this, it'll have been announced and we'll be, you know, fashionably late to the party as per usual.
Pre-speculation. Yeah,
exactly. But that, if you're reading the tea leaves, that seems like it's probably going to happen. And then who knows with Coach. Garth has said it's down to the last couple candidates. I'm sure they got thrown for a loop when Patrick Vieira took the job at Genoa. And he's off the board because he was apparently the front runner. That's what all the reporting and everybody and all the rumor leaks were saying. So it's not going to be him. So I don't know. There hasn't been a lot of names tossed around outside of him that people with the club have leaked. I guess people keep talking about Curtin, but I don't see that happening.
Why?
But anyhow, what do you want to talk about next? Would you like to go over the match a little bit, or do you want to get straight to the end of year roster moves? Do you want to throw shade at Orlando, drop the fan graphic? What would you like to do?
Well, I think I just because I know it's been, you know, I hope everybody enjoyed their holiday. There wasn't a lot to be thankful for this holiday season, in my opinion, except for things like family and football. So I will say that.
Ain't nothing.
Yeah.
That's something at least.
Yeah, I know. It's not nothing. I didn't say it was a lot. It is something. It's just not a lot.
I understand.
But it was our last game of the season. And, you know, I do, like you said, if you're going to lose well. And I think we did. I still think that we played well.
It was the end of strikers.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It was the end of the Cinderella of the Cinderella run. But I still think that, dude, we didn't get fucking blown out.
No.
In like six straight games. We couldn't overcome.
We didn't have a focal point.
No.
We didn't have an attack focal point. And that's hard to do. There were no shots on goal. And I was down there for the match, took the bus ride down there. Walked out of the stadium. I loved Orlando fans gloating over this. I'm like, ooh, you beat Atlanta United without two strikers, and you beat Charlotte on penalties.
Ooh,
and I kept telling them all as I was walking out the stadium, all right, you might want to learn how to defend in transition because you're going to have to do that next week. So anyhow, we played well enough for me. I was content with the product I saw on the field.
It's another one of those style of games where if it had happened in the regular season, it felt more like a regular season loss to me than it felt like a playoff game, because if it was a playoff game, we would have our best stuff and we'd have our best staff out on the pitch. You know what I mean? And we didn't have that.
We're not even a complete roster. We're still down a DP.
And that's what I'm saying. We played with everything we had left. That's right. And unfortunately, by the 75th minute, there just wasn't anything left.
No.
It really just wasn't.
And Rios, when Rios went down,
it was done.
5 seconds into the second half.
Yeah, it was done. And we knew it, and it's okay. I was like, well, shit.
But I wasn't angry at it.
No, you couldn't
But there were still some good standout players. Nobody's great surprise. Defenders, once again. Stan, Pedro. Yeah. Ronald, all excellent. Shout out to Ronald, man. Here's a club man who I hope the club finds a new deal for. Through and through, really plays for the badge. Spends a lot of time injured. We gotta be careful there. Spends a lot of time on the bench, but never has an attitude about it.
No,
never.
And as soon as he comes in, he has the same amount of effort.
It's like every time. Starting bench player. There's no difference. Ronald is there, and I think he's really well liked and respected in the locker room. So I hope that gets done.
I think club man is a really good way to describe him.
He stood out for me, and Stan gotta get healthy. And then Pedro. I mean, what more can you say about the guy?
Yeah, and I think that
incredible.
I think that. Okay, so we've talked about the season. We know what we're up for. We talked about our playoff run and how much that meant to us, and we've talked about Rob. Let's start looking at moving forward, honestly.
Sure.
Because let's talk about these roster moves.
Yeah.
Because these were some of these were inevitable. I think
the inevitable ones being Dax. And Quentin Westberg, both retired.
Yep.
Congratulations to both of them.
Yep.
In particular, Dax. I mean, he had
an incredible playoff run with us. I mean, I hope that I hope he enjoyed those games.
He did much. And he is a Florida boy. So he got to end his career with his family and friends there. I think there were 50, 60 people that went out there for him.
Like that, yeah.
And that's really nice. That's a really nice way for him to end. I don't think his time with soccer is done. Don't know what capacity it's going to be or what club, but he's going to stay. He's one of those guys that he loves this game.
Involved.
And he's going to be more than involved. He's going to be employed somewhere in some capacity.
Sure.
He's going to.
I could see him being super involved in a USL club or something like that as well. What I mean is in terms of how Parky has been.
Hey, congratulations, Marco Parkhurst and Rhode Island.
And Rhode Island.
Your inaugural season, and you get to the ship. You lose. You got pretty well dominated by Colorado. But what an accomplishment for a small club that in debut season to go and do that. They're building a brand new stadium. Should be up for next season, I hope. I hope to get up there for a game because it's going to be right on the water in Rhode Island. It looks
beautiful.
The renderings are gorgeous. So shout out to them. They've been fun to watch. And I think Dax will be involved similar to how Parky has been. And I'm glad we got him for a year. I enjoyed having him here.
No,
Great
I
attitude.
do. And I'm glad that we were able to make that run for players like Dax. Obviously, Quentin didn't get to see any of the pitch for those games.
No, but why is that?
I don't know. Maybe
because we got a 41-year-old goalkeeper, option exercise, Brad Guzan.
Yeah.
Because
Brad was having the season of just about the season of his career. They're not going to take Quentin. They're not going to put Quentin in just for like 20 minutes just to let him have his last couple of games.
Last year on this time, we're recording on Sunday, December 1st. If I told you last year around this time, that we'd be exercising an option on a 40-year-old goalkeeper,
never would have believed it because it just wasn't good. It wasn't good enough.
Sense. Yeah, I mean he's coming off an
it wasn't
injury.
good enough.
And then he
has not been good enough.
He has the season that he does this year, fully healthy, Not just the playoff run, by the way. For me, if you want to pick a man of the season, I think Saba's in the conversation. That's fair. But Brad is the loudest voice in that conversation for me.
I mean, it's gotta.
There's nobody else.
No, not really.
Pedro has been great, but too small sample size right now, and just what Brad has meant, and
it's hard to say
all of it
because it was still a losing season, even though we did make the playoffs, because 1,000 things fell in the right way. But he had so much to do with that. I think that goalkeepers don't generally score goals, so their contribution is kind of looked at as kind of an afterthought, or it's looked at secondarily to strikers or people that score goals.
But they're massively important, and
we wouldn't have been anywhere near even 9th place, which is to say that it does not say a lot. But if you think about it, we would be last.
Yeah.
Easily. Without Brad.
Kept us in it. I mean, look.
Kept us in what, though? That's the hard part. That's where you're
kept us in the season and play. Like, we're not there without him. Look, Garth is a pretty shrewd businessman. Mm-hmm. He is. He exercised an option on a 40-year-old goalkeeper.
He's
not going to make nostalgic moves. I know everybody would love to see Joseph come back just for the vibes.
Yeah.
Garth said that he's not ruling anything out, but that seems highly unlikely because
come on.
Garth isn't going to do that. He's going to do what he said, build the best club possible. This man thinks that Brad Guzan, 40 years old, can be part of the best club possible. That is a monumental statement. Goalkeepers are a different breed that, we have seen, like Tim Howard played into his 40s. Different than an outfield player, but it's still hugely impressive. And you can tell when Brad talks, the way he handles himself, the way he just goes about his business, this man's got another year in him. Like, he wants to play. Yeah. He wants to go out on a trophy, and I hope we can give that to him next year. And I'm thrilled that he's back, honestly. Thrilled. Who else we got here? We got Efrain. So his option was exercised. We got Efrain Morales and Jay Fortune's options were exercised as well.
Right. Which is good. We want to keep the, I think that both of them have still a lot of potential.
And also,
Jay has shown us his. I think Efrain will get his chance.
Jay's been another one of those that's just been thrust into it and responded well. Here's a blast from the past. Santiago Sosa. You'll remember Santi. He had his option exercised. That's really just probably a formality so that a sale can happen. We exercise the option. So he's still with the club. So then his loan deal, we can sell him to Racing Club down in Argentina, get some money, reportedly around $4 million. I don't think that San Diego could swoop in and select him in the expansion draft. I don't anticipate that we would put him on the protection list unless we really want to protect the sale and get that money. But anyhow, Santi Sosa, option exercise. The ones that we declined options on were Eric Centeno, Nick Firmino, who is the biggest surprise for me this season because I thought he was going to see a lot more of the pitch, many more minutes. And it never happened. Not even when we were depleted. Injury and international call-up. It just didn't happen for Nick, and that's kind of sad.
I would like to know a little bit about that.
Me too.
Because
I'd like to know more.
I will say this.
He seemed versatile enough to fill a 10 role if we needed to, or even a second striker or whatever. And
I don't know.
He never got out there.
Early on in the season, when we were watching some of those preseason games, right, where we literally had the starting 11 and then we had the kids, right? Yeah. And usually you put Firmino was in. I don't think so, though.
Okay. Like, we disagreed on that in preseason, too.
Yeah, we disagreed with it then.
Yep, that's fine.
I have it, but I also wasn't able to gauge if he'd improved because we just never used him.
Apparently, your assessment was correct because, Rob and Pineda, the club, isn't going to not play him because they don't like him. They're going to play the best players, and he just didn't make it. So, but I would love to know more about it. Other options that were declined, Ronald Hernandez, that's to decline to talk about a new contract, so let's not panic that we don't want him. We do.
Same with Tyler Wolf.
Tyler Wolf, Franco Ibarra, no surprise there, and Jamal Tiare. And that's also to hash out a new deal, hopefully. I would like to see Jamal back. Hopefully not injured, can stay healthy for everybody. But I think he is an excellent backup striker. Took on more responsibility than he had to this season and still did well. But he's that bundle of energy that will go out and just find a way, get a drink behind the goalkeeper, do what he needs to do
to little bastard.
Get an equalizer, get a winner, that type of thing. I think he's a great backup. And
the only thing I think
deal.
maybe the only thing I think that might be holding them back, and I think that it probably has something to do with it, is what we are going to do with striker. I don't think that Jamal has a problem with being the 70-minute. I don't, because that was the role that we asked him to play at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, it's just Yorgo's fucked off. So
so it's
Yorgo scored, by the way, yesterday for Cruz Azul.
Well, he does. I mean, he's gonna score, but
I just noticed that. Yeah, whatever.
But Jamal, I think he could have a place here. I don't know if he does have a place here, because I don't know what the roster moves are going to be for a striker, because you said we have one DP spot, but that doesn't mean that we won't necessarily have a second if they decide to.
No, we will only have
decline other options.
The way the roster is being structured, we only have one. We're going to have one DP slot open, and we're probably going to use that as a striker. Or as Garth said, it could come down to just finding the best player available. So we'll see. I think he wants to stay here, or otherwise he wouldn't be in talks. And they are talking. So I think that's a good thing. Other players that are currently under contract for 2025. This will be important when it comes to the expansion draft happening on December 11th for San Diego FC. We've got Luis Abram, Pedro Amador, Luke Brennan, Noah Cobb, Josh Cohen, Matthew Edwards, probably never see him, Ashton Gordon, Steven Gregerson, Jaden Hibbert, Brooks Lennon, who is going to be out for several more months. Gar said the shoulder injury is pretty serious, so probably not even ready come the start of next season. Sava Lobjanice, Alexei Marenchuk, Edwin Mosquera, Tristan Muyamba, Jean de Silva, Bartosz Slisz, Aiden Torres, and Derek Williams. So if we take those 18 names into account and then also throw in Goose, who's had his option exercised, Jay, and Efrain, all those people will be eligible in the expansion draft. I don't think Santiago will, especially if the sale of him happens before the 11th. I'm not quite sure how that'll work. And Jamal, Ronald, and Tyler are kind of question marks for me right now because they don't have deals yet. But I imagine a lot of business is going to get done this coming week and next before the 11th. And they'll probably have deals in place by that. And then on the 11th is the big day for San Diego. So quick refresher on
the 11th of
December.
Okay,
quick refresher on how this works. And it's going to be interesting for teams going forward because there's not a whole lot more expanding the league can do here. We're going to be at 30 teams. So it might not be a thing going forward where teams have to worry about protecting players and stuff because not another team coming for a little bit now. We'll see. So this is how the expansion draft works. It will be San Diego who's up, and they are permitted to pick up to 5 players from the list of eligible players, but no more than 1 player from each club. So you can't go to Atlanta United and take 3 players. Correct.
Right.
Once you've had a player selected from your club, everybody else is safe. Like that's it. And the previous team, who was expansion last year, is also off the list. But that wasn't anybody last year. So all the teams are available right now. Clubs have a out of their player pool, you can protect up to 12 players from their roster. A little interesting wrinkle in that rule of the 12 that you can protect if you have 4 or more international players, which most teams do. We certainly do. You must protect at least 3 of those players. And if you have a player selected from your team, you get $50,000 in Garber bucks, in GAM, as a compensation for that. So that being said, after all these names that we've listed that had their options exercised or in negotiation, seems like they're going to get a new deal and also currently under contract for 2025. Let's go over a list of 12 players that we'd like to say for sure are safe. Now, even the ones that are not safe, it doesn't mean that they'll get plucked away. San Diego might not come calling, but we do have a lot of talent here. And we are looked at virtually every time for expansion teams because we usually have good players. Maybe they don't work out here, but we usually have quality talent because that's the club we are. We attract talent. We don't always win, but we attract some names. So if we want to get the 3 international players out of the way first, my list for the first 3, picking from the international guys, Pedro for sure. I do not want to leave him exposed at all. He's been...
Never.
I don't know if we've had another player that's hit the ground running like he has, to the level he has. So he's number 1 for me.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute.
Is he on your list?
Oh, yeah. No,
okay.
100%. I was going to say the only other person I could think of that's hit the ground running pretty well, even though he has made some mistakes that have led to goals, is Derek Williams. But Fair. I still want him protected. I just don't.
Yeah, he's on my list further down.
I don't want to lose him. You know, for sure. Definitely want to protect him. And I think he's hit the ground running well here. Not as well as Pedro, because it's with Derek, it's been a larger sample size. With Pedro, it's been true. I mean, goddamn, look what he's done in the half the amount of games.
Don't tell me he's gonna drop off. Oh no. Okay. Number 2, Stian. I think I know injuries. He's got to stay healthy, but when he is, we win more games with him than
and he's a big boy. I think that I as a defender, like he's not as
valuable,
fast
players,
and as nimble
teams would want
as like Virgil van Dijk as far as like that, but he does have the potential to go up and get headers, and he does have he is a big body. Yeah. I mean, he towers. And we are a club that has been historically a very short team.
Yes.
So having some height in there is a good thing. If we can,
if he's exposed,
he does need to stay healthy though.
San Diego's going to at least take a look at a 6'2" Norwegian. Like you can't. I think. So
and he's
protect
young.
him.
Yeah, and he's
Saba,
young too. So
for sure, Saba has to be protected.
Have to keep. Yeah. So those are 3 international players.
Those are the 3. We have other international players, but if we have to pick 3, they're my 1, 2, 3.
No, those are. I can't. I cannot. And I don't think that they're going to take Alexi because it's the same. I think it's the issue of the sample size. I don't think that he would be the one.
Alexi.
I think that if
almost didn't put him on my list.
I know.
But considering the investment,
it doesn't matter. Let me put it this way: it doesn't matter if you put him on the list because he's going to be on Garth's list. He's going to be.
Garth's not going to go out and get this "we're back" guy and then not protect him. That'd be
That's
hilarious.
What I'm saying. It doesn't matter.
Ultimate 3D chess from Garth Longaway. Number 4 on my list is Barto. He's come really good. I think he's going to be really important. We need a 6. He's starting to function as the 6 we had in mind. He's on my protection list for sure.
Now, you decided that you were going to skip the number 6 in a series of numbers numbering 1 through 10.
Oh, did I not put someone on my 6?
So you get to pick one more person.
Oh, okay. Well, number 5 for me is Goose. Now, I debated whether or not to put him on the list. San Diego really going to pick a 40-year-old goalkeeper?
No, they won't. But who would you...
So if I'm being real petty and I want to do some damage to
to a club,
I can't risk it. And so Goose had to go on the list.
Well, and I hear you on that. So if you look at the players who would be eligible, to get picked.
Yeah.
I can't see... Unless you're talking about somebody like Jande or Brooks, and I don't want to protect either of them. So I can't tell you, man.
If you're forcing me to put someone at 6, because I left one blank.
Well, you do have to put somebody at 6.
I'll put Brooks.
Oh, really?
It seems kind of wasteful.
I don't know, man.
It seems kind of wasteful to me because he's injured and
you know what I would do instead of I would go with like Luke Brennan. Honestly, if I had
the disrespect to Brooks. Oh my.
Yes. No, Brooke.
No, I hear you on
that. So we said we were done. So I have to stick with it.
This time around, it's very strange. We're actually hoping that some of these guys get picked.
Well, and it's not just that. It's that if Brooks is going to be injured too, then he's dead. I hate to say that, but he's dead weight right now. So we don't really want him. He didn't perform this year. Yeah. He's going to be injured for the next 6 months. He's dead weight.
Yeah. Which is why he doesn't need to go on the list, because
he doesn't need to be on the list.
San Diego isn't going to pick him.
No, they're not. Well, anyhow. And even if they do, they're taking him because they want to. He's a backup for later, and they're not going to do that. So we don't need to protect him. Doesn't need to be on the list. I would say no. Maybe, but I would say Luke Brennan, because he's young and he still has some potential.
I'll put Luke on that list. Okay. 7 for me, Jay. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've exercised his option. Would hate to lose a kid.
We're not gonna exercise the option and then give him.
Yeah. So put Jay Fortune on there.
Yeah, for sure.
Give me some Noah Cobb at number 8.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna continue developing and be big for us. I really do. Derek, instrumental on the back line. Need to keep that continuity back there. Gotta have him. Ronald, club man. I want him. Protect him. Yeah. I know it's a big statement for he's not a starter, but we need to keep. I think identity is important, and vibes in the locker room and leadership, and I think he brings a lot of that. And for
Let me ask you this, because we didn't kind of mention it because he's in negotiations. Go back to number 6. If it's not Luke Brennan, would it be Tyler Wolff?
It could be.
I'm
fine with either of them.
Only because Tyler has so many more first team minutes.
True. So maybe Tyler gets the edge there.
So maybe Tyler gets that spot. But interestingly, I think that he could be fantastic for San Diego. Because I don't know if he would get the starting spot. I don't know if he's the guy. But if I go back and I think about, if I think about Greg Garza getting snatched up that first year, he's a Greg Garza to me. Garza was easily a first team player, but at the same time, he could not be a first team player.
Could be a decent move for him too.
That's what I'm saying. It could be. Okay. Could be a thing for him.
But also, if you're San Diego, you're only allowed to pick 5, and you want to pick the best 5 available. Got to see what else is on the market. So I don't know. It'd be a big statement if Tyler did get picked. It would be a big statement on him that a club rates him.
Well, and because look what they did with Brandon, and he's had a fantastic career.
True.
Over at Cincinnati. So huge move for him that worked out very, very well. But Brandon Vasquez is not Tyler Wolff or Luke Brennan. So they're not even in the same tier to me personally. So, but Greg Garza, I didn't think was in danger, and he got snatched. So,
number 11, I got Jamal. We're talking with him, and
because of that,
I think he's a good fit here in that sub role, in that super sub role. So if I go back and I look at some of our backup strikers, none of them even come close as well.
to a comparison to Jamal Tiare.
It's going to be important. So protect that. It's worth it. And then Alexi.
Well, we still
Alexi.
I have not given up on
build
Alexi
around.
yet.
Build around.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
We don't know how to build around. That's what I'm
saying. We haven't tried yet.
He's just not.
No, hold on. What I mean is that we haven't tried building around him yet.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's just not a big moment player. And I said this as take number 4 about the match. He's not this guy that's going to take command of a match, take control of a match, step up in that way.
No,
I realize
that
more cerebral player can hopefully be better with the right players around him. He does have quality. He's got a sweet left foot. My concerns are still there, and they have been from the jump. And I'm just looking forward to the day next year around this time where I can talk about how wrong I was about all these fears, and he's the best player in the league. Because right now I just don't see it, but obviously he's going to be on the list.
I kind of want to go back and look at some of the tape of Alexi and playing in Europe. And I'm just like, what? I want to know, because I haven't heard of some of these guys. I mean, come on. You know, like, I don't watch the Russian league, you know, with Bartosz. I didn't watch where he played. So it's like, you just have to take the word of the reports that you see, and the, you know, they're like, oh, we really like this guy. I'm like, okay.
It's a big move to make for this club, because it's very different than what we've targeted before. It's a very different player than what we've acquired before.
Well, I guess it's,
and it is an indication of going in a different direction. And that's just
we're going look at that list that you just made. Look at that list that you just made. It's very European compared to being very Latin American or Hispanic, or, you know, Latino.
But European, whatever. It's just that it's just a different player. Lexi's.
Well, it's a different league though, man. Look at the style of play. Look at the way Americans play. Look at the way, you know, Latin American players play. Look at the way European players play. It's a different culture. Okay. Yeah. And Alexi coming from Russia, you know, there's not a whole lot of, like, I mean, you think he'd ever seen an MLS game in his life? Probably not. Okay, until Inter Miami, maybe he watched an Inter Miami game because he recognized some of the players. We just don't know enough.
Do you think the transition for Alexi is harder than the transition is for somebody like Pedro? Both coming from different leagues, different countries, different languages. Alexi speaks English. Obviously, Pedro is learning. But do you think
5 years ago, I would say no. I'm sure Pedro fit in nicely. Everybody, you know, 3/4 of the team is Spanish speaking.
It seems like Pedro's syncing up quicker than, and
absolutely,
having an easier time than Alexi. So
for sure. But I also think it's a caliber of player. We don't know enough. That's what I'm saying. I just don't know enough about Alexi yet.
And also Pedro's,
I'm not Jazz.
His role is
very different.
A little more.
It's hard to compare them. It really is
simplistic than what Alexi is tasked with doing in the midfield.
No, I'll give you that. No, 100%.
And I'm not trying to say that all he does is go down the left and cross balls in. What he does is very difficult, and he's very good at what he needs to do. But the role isn't as complex as.
No, and you're not taking anything away from Pedro by saying that, but but the number 10 being the central attacking midfielder and being like we're asking for him to be the captain on the pitch.
That's my
concern. You need to be the design.
I don't think he's
designer.
I don't think he's captain material. I don't think he's.
I don't know.
Material.
Yeah. So then, who's the captain? Saba, or the new striker?
No, it will still be.
Gigi had that very commanding presence. You know, he was very much like, no, you go here, you go here. When you cross that ball, you know, it's like, you know, you come. You could always see him. He was always.
It'll still be Goose unless.
Yeah, but you
new
can't
striker
do that.
comes in.
No. But I've never agreed with that. I get he could be the captain of the players. I'm talking about captaining the attack, captaining the way that we play on the pitch, because the goalkeeper can't do that. You have to be able to move amongst the players, and it was like that when Larry left. I said that I was like, we can't have.
We will need a new Larry.
The captain. We can't have.
We're going to have a Dax
captaining
replacement.
Our attack when he's stuck behind the goal. That's not going to work.
I think. For me right now, depending on who we sign and their personalities, and it might be a new striker that we get that could command that presence and that respect and just fit in nicely. Wouldn't mind Barto. Wouldn't mind it. I think his personality's starting to come out. I do want, Goose is probably going to be the captain, but it is beneficial to have an outfield player as captain.
It is.
And I could see Barto winning that job. I could. And
maybe.
I think the torch
he's starting to
needs
become.
to
You're
be
starting to see
passed.
the passion. Yeah, you're seeing a little bit more of his passion.
Yeah.
In the team.
A little more flavor in him. A little more personality. A little more bite. A little more fight. So.
But we need I'm trying to not everybody watches the Premier League, but I mean, we need like an Alexis McAllister. You know what I mean? We need a little bit of a Cole Palmer.
Well, hey, look, maybe we'll pull off the coup of the century and sign KDB ourselves.
Wow. I don't even know.
And then
I would be the first one in line. I would be the first one in line to get that kit. I think.
Depending on the new personalities that come in, if it fits, it fits.
But that is what I mean, though. We need a Kevin De Bruyne you need that commander.
Yeah.
I
understand what you're saying.
You need the general.
For me right now, I think it's out of who we have, it's Barcho. I think, if you want an outfield player. And then we'll just see who else we sign and if it makes sense and if it fits. Derek could be that guy, but again, backline. Like I would prefer. Anyhow.
Yeah. No. I disagree.
Personality wise, I think Derek could. He's a leader.
Right.
Goose is a leader, but it's just difficult to do when you're on your goal line.
Yeah.
Even though Goose doesn't stay on his goal line a whole lot. He comes out and tackles Messi open field.
I know, but like even defenders, even wingbacks can move forward and be, Bartos scored.
Ronald,
so that's,
Ronald, not a bad shout to have Ronald captain, but he's probably not going to start. So,
No, I like where you're going with Bartos. I think I think you're on the right track there.
Pedro?
No.
Barto.
No, and it's because of the job that we need Pedro. And like I said with Saba,
putting too much on him.
Well, that's what I mean. The job that we need Pedro and Saba to do.
Just keep doing that.
They're doing great. So you don't need Saba to command the field. We need him to take care of the things that we need to take care of.
Hopefully, with new signings, we give Saba a little less responsibility too, because he's trying to do everything. Because in this run,
because nobody else is fucking doing it.
We were asking him to do everything because we don't.
I don't even think we asked. He just was like, okay, no one else has the ability, so I'm just going to fucking do it.
Nobody is actually asking him, but when things aren't happening, he tries to make things happen. Well, maybe, yeah.
Just saying.
We don't know what's being said, but read between the lines. Both strikers go down. Hey, Saba, go get a goal.
Yeah.
All right. That kind of covers everything. A little bit about the match, a little bit about the end of year roster moves, saying goodbye to Rob, speculating on who is coming in, throwing shade at Orlando, always a good time, and your traditional 10-minute Premier League intro. But it is nice for us to be talking about both of our clubs. Back at the top, where things should be.
Yes.
Red and blue, living harmoniously at the top. Go win the league, by the way. I'm fine.
I'm working on it. Yeah, I'm good.
I'm fine. I'm not mad at you that you will. I'm so fucking over the moon to be top 4. We've been in the wilderness for years. I know. This is a Chelsea fan complaining. We've won everything. We have 21 trophies. I get it. Charmed life. Yeah. But it has been difficult the past few years to watch this club be mocked. Rightly
because
so.
It's been the way that y'all have been in the last couple of years.
It's just a clown show.
Yeah, it's like if you
clown
and
show.
Like,
but we got
your words ringing true. It's like you know what $1 billion buys you? 11th.
Yeah. But now it buys us second. Playing Maresca ball, a disciple of Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
Who's maybe this is the new Pep. I don't know. Pep's struggling. Look, can't count City out yet. Can't do it.
Did you see him troll the Liverpool fans a little bit when they were singing? Did you see this?
This was wonderful today. Liverpool fans at Anfield giving Pep a rousing rendition of "You're Getting Sacked in the morning" to Pep Guardiola, the greatest manager coaching today.
Arguably one of the best coaches of all time.
Here's a question. If anybody's sack proof, it's probably Pep.
Yes,
but is there a point for even Pep?
Okay, so
where City Football Group has to go. It's been 4 months and we haven't won a game.
Well, at that point, yes. But here's the thing: I did hear they were talking about this today. That Pep said that if that moment, that he would leave before he let that moment happen. Oh. If he turned around, and that's how you know he's one of the best coaches of all time, because if he's humble enough and knowledgeable enough to understand that he would say, you know what, guys, I am not the guy anymore, so I am going to step down. He said he would step down before he ever let it get to the point where they would ever be put in a position to have to make that choice. But I also thought it was interesting that he said and it's an interesting way that I can't remember exactly the way he put it, but that he wouldn't necessarily relish the idea of putting together a complete rebuilding of Man City, but that he wouldn't turn away from it. And I'm like, wow.
I think
okay,
he relishes
because he could do that
challenge.
because he could do it.
I think he relishes
you're like, okay,
a
so what do you do if you clean house?
He's never been in this situation, by the way.
No, and that's what
Straight
kind
up.
of.
And if that tells you anything about the caliber of coach, this man has never lost this many games. Like,
no,
it's a pretty good track record.
He's never lost this many in his career.
Pretty good track record
in a row. Yeah,
but that was funny today at Anfield with them singing "Getting Sacked in the Morning" and then Pep flashing
holding up the 6, and it's like, well, you know,
we know.
But I have to go back and check, but Liverpool has some too. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
We won everything in 2019.
It's
so,
Liverpool's. It's Liverpool's title to lose at this point, and you don't even.
And everybody's everybody is really finally.
And you got this win that you got over City today.
Yeah,
might end up being the most important, even if City makes it interesting.
Oh no, it will, because we have to win against the teams that are pushing it. Like we had to win against you. We tied. We drew Arsenal.
6-point game today.
Yeah, and we went against and we
quit saying you have to win again. We are not challenging for the title.
But we did.
I don't want to challenge for the title. It's too.
They
fast.
said that. They said that
fast.
Today. They said Chelsea. They said Chelsea is in the hunt, and I'm like, okay.
I don't know. The two Robbies can kick rocks. We are not in the hunt.
no. This was Well, I think it was.
I don't want to be in the hunt. I just want to keep enjoying what this is. I don't want the expectations yet. We'll get there. We're not there
so
yet.
you're kind of just happy.
I'm happy
to be in the conversation. Much like Atlanta United was at the end of this
that's
season.
How I feel.
We were happy to be in the conversation again.
Yeah.
Because it felt for like 3 years like we were fucking irrelevant.
It makes you really grateful for shit.
Doesn't it?
When you've been thirsted for a long time, suddenly you get a drink. You're like, oh man,
I forgot what this tastes like.
That's some good still water. All right, y'all.
Some very expensive blue bottles that you still have left over from your
from the wedding party. All right, well, that's 2024 for you.
Yep, all wrapped up nicely, put in a box with a bow, and now we're gonna kick it off a cliff and start anew.
That's right. We'll be back.
We'll be back when we have more. We'll be back when we have more information.
Yeah, probably another week or two. Is I think when we're going to get a lot of the big announcements. Right. Not every player announcement.
But I will say this: I don't think that you're going to hear back from us until we have most of the information. I would say at least a GM coaching information
and coaching, and maybe we'll start to have some player talk. That'll probably get a little bit louder as we move towards the transfer window. For Europe, anyhow. But we're going to do some other things as well. We'll be back, I think, with a 5-a-side or 2, if y'all remember those episodes that we do where we talk about 5 things apart from the match. And they could be anything from what's going on in the city, globally, internationally. It could be about food, dumplings, which Jennifer is our resident dumpling expert. We'll probably do something on those.
Start calling her dumpling.
So we'll have one of those out, and hopefully maybe we'll even link up with a couple other supporter pods out there that we've talked to in the past this year. Get with some of those guys, and I don't know, sit around and throw more shade at Orlando. It's always fun. I just love that that came true so quickly. Champions of playing 90 more minutes. We'll never sing that, I guess. Fuck them all. Lives on. I hope we can carry that attitude forward with this club too. Whoever comes in next, I hope he realizes.
I don't know. I'm willing to. Honestly, I think it was a really great playoff motto. I'm willing to.
Just that mentality of, I guess, just.
But we don't want that anymore. No. I don't agree with that.
Not that mentality, but the badge, the club. This means more. Like
I'll give you that.
I hope that mentality is as important to the next manager as it was with Rob. You know, playoffs are different. Yeah. I get it.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah, well, because that's what I'm saying. We didn't play fuck them all this whole year. If we
we should have.
That's what I'm saying. If we had, things probably would have been different.
Then again,
the fuck 'em all was the playoff run of 2024. We need to let that go now because it's not who we are starting in 2025.
MLS has a problem. They have a regular season problem in that it doesn't matter. Red Bulls are in the goddamn final.
I know. Well, and
at least on the East Coast, it didn't matter.
Right, and we didn't have a whole lot of business being there either.
West Coast was a little more tradition. You had both the LAs vying for it. You had Seattle in there. You had Minnesota in there, RSL. We're over here like, I don't know, 9th place Atlanta United and Red Bulls are going to go all the way. Like, the East Coast was drunk, probably will be again next year. See what happens with San Diego. There's going to be a lot to talk about, so we'll be back with that. Thank you very much for the whole season, for first listening to us, sticking with us from the highs and a lot of the lows, let's be honest. But I'm really, really glad that we got to end on a high and something positive to feel good about ending it, because it was going to be just fucking tragic, just whimpering off this thing with no feel-good vibes. And really nothing to really look forward to except a transfer window. We have some hope now, and it's going to still be a big offseason, though. Still a lot of moves that have to be happening. The magical run doesn't change anything, like we said.
No.
The problems are still there. The corrections still need to happen.
That's right.
But it's nice to do it with a smile. So we will be back, I don't know, week or two-ish when we have more to talk about.
That's right.
All right. Until then, y'all be good. We will be back.
Fucking goddamn meow.
She Sharpied whiskers on her face. Oh, you're missing out if you're not watching the video.